now we get to the final leg of the financial planning process, strategies for maximizing your portfolio. What we're going to do here is we're going to look at the stock market and see how the stock market works so that we can figure out how we can put together a financial plan that makes sense and how we can put together a portfolio that makes sense. This is an example, or this is the S&P 500, and it's showing from the year 2000 all the way up to 2022. What we see here is from 2009 on, we really had a really phenomenal run here with the market. And over that period of time, we've averaged double-digit returns. But if we look at just that period of time, and we think that we're going to continue to average double-digit returns, and we assume that when we are creating a financial plan, and if it doesn't happen, we're going to get ourselves in real trouble. So it makes sense to actually look at the return over a longer period of time. So if we look at that return from 2000 to 2022, what's the average rate of that time period? Then we're looking at an average rate of return of 5.67%. However, that's not really fair because it doesn't include dividends, that number right there. When you include dividends, that number is usually closer to 6 to 8% returns. So we want to look at the next phenomena of what happened in the earlier years here. We can see 2000, 2001, 2002 were 3 negative years in the market that the market actually went down 50%. The market came back, but then 2008 hit again, and the market went down 50% and eventually came back. But take a look at this phenomena here. This is a 13-year span. From January of 2000, the S&P 500 index was at 1469. January 2013, 13 years later, the index is at 1469. So if you were in a buy and hold strategy, you could have real problems here. In fact, when that market went down like that, if you were taking money out of your portfolio during your retirement years, well, then the money that you took out wouldn't be there to grow back. And that can be a recipe for disaster. So we really need to have part of our funds in a safe money investment. So, Frankie, why don't you talk about safe money investing?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you look at your portfolio, you don't want to have all of your portfolio in that stock market all taking on that amount of risk. If you're looking to retire in the next few years, you're already retired. If your portfolio went down 50%, you'd be in a lot of trouble. So we want to make sure that we're protecting the hard-earned principal, of people looking to retire and who are already retired. So one way that you can do that is by having a portion of your portfolio, often it's usually a 50-50 split, but having a portion of your portfolio with no market risk. And that might be in a CD, in a savings account, in a checking account, in treasuries and fixed annuities. Between those accounts, you're able to have no market risk at all. But what's the catch with those accounts? What's the problem with those accounts?
Well, you're looking at these, Frankie, you look at those first 4, the interest rates still are very, very low, and people aren't getting a lot of return on those things.
Yeah. So that's the main problem, is with those first 4, you're not really getting a lot of the stuff that you want from your safe money investments. You want to have safety, but also good returns. And that brings us to our 5th thing here, and that's the fixed indexed annuities, which are able to provide better returns than the other 4 in most cases. So that's looking like a 4 to 6% long-term rate of return is what we expect out of those. And you can see here in the graph what it looks like to have one of these fixed index annuities. In this example, this fixed index annuity is with American Equity, and it's showing a 47% participation rate. That's that green line over here. You can also see the red line is what the price of the S&P 500 would have been over that same time period. Now, what it doesn't include is those dividends, as you had mentioned earlier. So the S&P still would have performed probably a percentage or 2 better over that time span.
Makes sense.
But we're not expecting the same type of returns with the fixed indexed annuities as the market. We're expecting about a 4 to 6% rate of return there, and more of a 6 to 8% rate of return with the market. So the difference here is you can see that the fixed indexed annuities don't go down when the market goes down. When the market goes down, they go sideways, and then they go up when the market goes up, just not as high as the market goes. Now, when you can see in 2008, there was a huge drop for that red line, and that green line just goes sideways. You know, what is the person who has the fixed indexed annuity not having that the person who has all their money in the stock market having during that time period?
The anxiety of losing money.
Yes, exactly. So that person's not as worried about the fixed index annuity side because it doesn't go down. That'll never go down due to market losses. So could you tell us a little bit, Dad, about the market risk side of things?
Well, yeah, let's take a look. And by the way, before I even cover this, you know, a lot of advisors nowadays, in fact, for a long period of time, they had bonds on the safe money side and still do. A lot of advisors are advising people to invest their safe money in bonds. In fact, you see that a lot in 401k plans as well. So the problem with that is that over the past few years, when interest rates, you know, over the past 15 years or so, as interest rates were going down, the value of long-term bonds was going up. But now it's the exact opposite. As interest rates are climbing, the value of bonds are going down. So they're no longer in the safe money category. As a matter of fact, bonds for the most part are pretty far down this year, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we don't really put bonds on that side of the equation. What we're looking for is to get reasonable rates of return or good rates of return from the market, but also trying to mitigate the risk. And how do we do that? Well, first of all, when you look at the market side, you're looking at things like equities and stocks and real estate and commodities and bonds. But then what we use as a strategy is called tactical management using computer algorithms. So for us, you know, we do things a little bit differently. You know, you have to have a strategy when you're picking investments. And most financial advisors do. The strategy that most of them use is a strategy called buy and hold. What they're doing is they're telling people you need to buy into an investment and hold on to it. And over the long run, the markets perform better than anything else out there, at least historically they have. So that's probably your best way to go. The problem, Frankie, is during that period of time when the markets went down, up, when those markets were going down, if people were drawing money out during their retirement years, they were taking that money further down. And when they do that, that money's not going to be there for it to come back and to get back to where it was. So that can cause a big problem during their retirement years. But that's what most of them are recommending out there. And then you look at, you know, that strategy is what we call the most recommended. But it is not the most popular strategy.
No, what's that?
The most popular strategy is called emotional investing. What is emotional investing? We all know we should buy low and sell high, right? Naturally. So naturally, since we all know that, Frankie, is that what we all do?
Well, not when the money's going down.
What's the problem with emotional investing? The problem is this. When we see our money going down, what's our natural reaction?
Get it out.
Yeah, pull our money out. It's human nature to want to pull our money out as we're losing our money. The problem is when we do that, did we buy low or did we did we sell low or did we sell high?
Always sold low.
We sold low, which is exactly the opposite of what we want to do. So let me show you some studies to show you why it is what we're saying is true here.
Okay.
This study here is showing the average return of investors. And this is showing from 2001 to 2020, the S&P 500 averaged 7.5%. If somebody were to invest 60% in stocks and 40% into bonds during that period of time, they would have averaged 6.4. 40% in stocks, 60% in bonds, they would have averaged 5.9. But look what the average investor got. An average of 2.9%.
Well, that can't be right.
Well, it is right now, and I'll show you why. The average investor is investing emotionally. We can see that here in this graph. It's a study by the Investment Company Institute, and what the red line shows is the market itself, the S&P 500, and the blue line here is showing people's buying patterns. The problem is people are buying and selling basically at around the same times as when the markets are going up and when the markets are going down. They're buying accordingly that way when they should be doing it the exact opposite. And that's why they have such low returns.
Gotcha.
So what do we do here at A Better Way Financial? We use a strategy called tactical management. Tactical management is using algorithms. What's algorithms? Algorithms are a formula to help decide or to actually make the decision of when to buy, when to sell, what to buy, and what to sell. So I'm going to share with you an example of a formula. One formula takes all of the economic indicators of today, things like GDP, unemployment, interest rates, consumer spending, CPI, all of these different economic indicators. And what it does is it takes a look at where they are today. And then the computer goes in and looks for periods of time in the past when they were closely aligned to where they are today. And it says during those periods of time, what happened next? Did the stocks go up or down? The large cap stocks, the small cap stocks, the bonds, did they go up or down? Did the real estate market, the commodities, all of these different things? And then what that formula did was it invested in things that were more prone for growth. And it did that continuously. Well, guess what? That formula over time showed to perform very, very well. In fact, $100,000 in the year 2000, utilizing the S&P 500, by the year 2016 grew to 308,000, and in utilizing that formula, the computer algorithm, the funds grew to $581,000. So then the final part is fees, costs. What does it cost what are the costs in your portfolio? If you're taking a look at your statements, and the bulk of these statements out there include what?
Mutual funds.
Mutual funds. Well, mutual funds are very, very similar to ETFs, but the major difference is the cost. Mutual funds, the internal cost of mutual funds can be 2 to 8 times the cost of ETFs. And when you look at that over the years, compounding that over and over and over each year, the difference it can make in a portfolio is really, really it can be huge.
Yeah.
So the types of things we do here at A Better Way Financial is we're going to help you to maximize your returns, help you mitigate those risks, help you to minimize those costs, and that's the type of work we do here at A Better Way Financial for you.